Welcome back to Rebel Tribe After Hours. This is the part of the show where we kind of turn the lights down a little, loosen up the conversation, and talk about the real stories behind the reinvention. And tonight I'm joined by someone who, I suspect just might be a bit of a kindred spirit. In fact, I'm a little bit jealous of her business, to be honest. Tiffany Curtis spent years working her way up through the corporate world with Walmart and Sam's Club, and she built a career in sales and management, the kind of path that looks really successful on paper. But like a lot of us here, there came a point when something started shifting. Motherhood changed the lens, and her body started demanding attention in ways that just couldn't be ignored. I think she said she had, when I talked to her, I think she mentioned spinal surgery just a few months ago. So, yeah. And in the middle of that forced pause, she made a pretty bold decision. Instead of going back to the life that really wasn't fitting her anymore, she started building something new. Tiffany is the founder of the Witch's Kitchen, and like I said, I'm kind of jealous because I love that name. I wish I'd have thought of it first. Okay, because y'all know me, I'm a little out there. She creates herbal and crystal infused health products and whimsical gifts. If you've seen my office, you know I'm all about whimsical. She's also launching a podcast called For the Female Gaze, which, okay, I always got to bring on the fellow podcasters because, she started a dog walking business. I have four. And she loves dogs too, just like I do. And if she had her way, there would probably be a dog rescue somewhere in her future. I'm trying to figure out how we can collaborate on that. So, yes, kindred spirit. You knew I had to get her on here. So today we're going to talk about reinvention, creativity, listening to your body when it says, wait a minute, and what it really looks like when someone decides to step into a more authentic version of themselves. Tiffany, welcome to Rebel Tribe After Hours.
Welcome. Thank you for having me.
I just,
So,
I just got to know what started. What started this whole thing? If
you
someone had met
know,
you,
I've always been a very creative person. And I often joke if I could get paid for just coming up with ideas. I mean, I guess there are people who do that with patents and such, but, I've always kind of been that way. Well, why doesn't someone do this? Or why don't you do this? And that's, I think, one thing that helped me throughout kind of that corporate career, even though it wasn't necessarily um, probably the best fit for me overall as a person. But I just started thinking about what are my values as a person, first off, what's important to my family, and then what brings me joy. So, you know, um, and then kind of going along with that value piece, I was talking to a friend of mine, and I've always been a very natural oriented person and kind of whimsical, but sometimes was afraid to let my freak flag fly, if you will. So I was telling a friend, I think I might consider becoming a Wiccan. And she goes, well, aren't you already? And I said, well, what do you mean? And she's like, well, I mean, just the way you think and you move through the world, like, I don't think you need to brand yourself anything, but to me, like, you're already kind of a witch. And I was like, I guess that's true. Um, and so I started with simmer pots. And I really love the idea of creating rituals and finding ways to ground and soothe yourself throughout life. And so that turned into body scrubs and body oils and from there. So, and then I also enjoy making like wreaths and different things and experimenting with different mediums. So that's kind of how I started. And I'm actually putting product in my first retail location tomorrow. Um, so I'm excited about that. And, I used to be a perfectionist. And so it's not going to be 100% perfect on day one. But that's kind of what I love about this growth journey that I've been on is realizing like, sometimes good enough is good enough. Like you can do your best and then you can keep building on that. It doesn't have to be perfect from day zero or we'd never do anything, right? Nobody would be an entrepreneur.
exactly. I can't tell you how many women I have talked to, either just talking to, over coffee, or getting them on this podcast, and just talking to them about why they stopped doing what they had been doing and moved into something else. And almost every one of them brought up the fact that it didn't bring them joy anymore. I think we have forgotten that, we should have a little joy in our lives. And if your job, whatever you're doing, does not bring you joy, maybe it's time to look at something else. That was always my, when I would start a new job out in the, when I actually had a job, it was like, I would tell them point blank, when this is no longer fun, I'm out. Okay.
Yeah.
So you keep it fun for me, you'll keep me here forever. When it's no longer fun, I'm gone.
Yeah.
Why? I don't know. I don't know why that is. I don't know why we have forgotten about the joy.
I think it's something that kind of happens to us as we transition from kids into adulthood. I don't know why that happens, but that's really something in doing all this that I try to focus on, whether it's just a walk. I never thought I'd be one of those women who get excited about birds, but there's a joke like, oh, I'm a granny because I like bird watching and I like gardening and all these things. But I find joy just going on a walk and looking at the birds these days. But I was so stressed out in my previous life, I didn't take that time to just see joy in the things around me anymore.
Oh, don't get me started on the birds, because there was two, no, it was the summer before last summer. I'm sitting out front and I'm hearing this bird call, and I happen to glance over because I'm like surrounded by like oak woods. And I glanced over to where this great big or oak tree was, and there was two big birds, and I say they were dancing because they were just kind of like around the trunk of the tree. And I'm like, what are those? So I filmed them and I looked them up, and they were pileated woodpeckers. And I'm tripping out because I've never seen them before. I don't know
Yeah.
that we've ever had them out here. I post them and all over, and people are like, what? I was like, no, no, look, they're dancing. But yeah, if I had not done what I was doing I would not have ever seen that. And it was just the coolest thing. I thought it was, anyway, the coolest thing. So I
Yeah, no.
totally get the bird thing.
Yeah, I think we put on our blinders sometimes and we just don't notice, everything that's happening in the world outside of us. And there's so much going on right now. And I know I'm a big empathic person, so it's easy for people to feel down. And I think one thing I've been wrestling with lately is you can care about the things happening around you and you can be empathetic and feel that, but that doesn't mean you have to exclude joy from you. Like they're not mutually exclusive. You can find moments to still feel happy, and it doesn't mean you don't care about your neighbor down the street or things happening across the world.
I also love the fact he talked about ritual, because I know people nowadays, people think ritual and they're like, oh yeah, okay.
Yeah.
No, ritual used to be a big thing. I remember. And I remember it made a big impact on me at the time when I was, probably about 13, 14. We had gone up to my dad's family, and so my dad was Czech. So that, and I think he was like first generation over here. So we went to the big family reunion, and I remember the aunts after the party and the eating and everything, and all the men went off to do what the men do, and all the kids were shushed off to play. And I was going to go play with the rest of the kids, and my aunt was like, no, you can come in here now with us. And all the ladies adjourned to the kitchen and had like sat down and had cookies and Sanka. I remember the Sanka was the thing. And I remember, I was like, oh my gosh. And that's exactly how they explained it. It's like, you're a young lady now. You don't have to go out and play with the kids any longer. You don't sit at the kiddie table any longer. You're a
Right.
young lady now. So you're allowed to come in here and have cookies and Sanka with the grown-up women. I was like, oh my gosh. But it made me feel, I don't know, special, grown up, that they recognized. And why don't we do these kinds of things anymore? I don't know. It wasn't really ritual, but it was kind of like, yeah, okay. They saw me. I think that's what
Yeah,
it was. They saw me.
I think, yeah, no, I think you're right. I think there's something to that. I think there's the community aspect, right? Which, it's just hard for people to have as much time for that. But I mean, ritual is really anything you put intention behind. So that could be honoring a phase of somebody's journey in life. It can be um, an intention for letting things go. You can create a ritual while vacuuming your house, which I know may not be the the funnest thing. But if it's a time where you're doing something purposeful, like, hey, I'm cleaning, but at the same time, I'm also releasing things. I'm giving way to things that I'm carrying on my heart or my head, and I'm just going to focus on this one task in this moment. So there's different ways you can create ritual. I think people often, and it could be something as lighting a candles and singing songs. I mean, I think that's what's beautiful about ritual is it's not specific to any specific culture or thing. It's really whatever you want to make that gives meaning to you and purpose
So tell
and
me
feeling
about
seen. Yeah.
tell me about the podcast because I love the title For the Female Gaze. What's it all
Yeah.
about?
So it's really about looking at female-centered stories, culture, um, and really giving a voice to women, the way we move and experience the world. I think often, females are kind of reduced to these archetypes, and even in movies, even when you have really good female writers, often they're censored by studios, and so their full experiences are often pared down or narrated. So I have a co-host, Susanna, and we get on and we talk about stories that we find meaningful and really how that relates to women and how we move through the world. So far, I've covered, I just did an episode on Cleopatra, and everybody knows her as this beautiful woman because of Elizabeth Taylor and her movie. But what people don't realize is just how intelligent she was, and there's so much more to her and her experience, and how a lot of that is still culturally relevant today, even though she was alive so long ago. So, yeah, we really enjoy it. And I just actually started a spinoff called Through Her Lens, which is more first person accounts or experts in a specific field working with somebody. So I just did an episode where we talked about worthiness with Colleen Hubert, who's a naturopathic doctor, and I'm getting ready to release that, but I'm really excited about it. So,
Yeah, Cleopatra, that's awesome because I have read that. I've read she was like multilingual
she spoke
to
seven
begin with,
languages. Yeah.
and then apparently she was like quite the chemist. I guess we would call her a chemist now because she created all of these cosmetics basically but still to put all of those together required some kind of a knowledge of how everything worked together. And yeah, I was amazed when I read her story. So I have to go listen to that episode because she was pretty amazing. And
Yeah.
I know everybody thinks of her as, yeah, too many Hollywood movies about what she was.
Fair, fair. Yeah.
And not really. Okay.
Yeah.
Why is
I think
that?
why does the story
Why
get
does
filtered?
Hollywood? Yeah, why does Hollywood have to? I'm sorry, I love a good movie, and there's been a few more lately that really portray, women as they are instead of some Hollywood produced notion of what they are. But oh, man,
Being
why is it taking us so long to get there?
because they didn't allow female writers, producers, studio executives. So everything was getting funneled down to the final say so of somebody who was what we would call through the male lens or the male gaze. So they wanted to make women palatable. Um, you know, that's why when Cleopatra, she actually wasn't delivered on a rug, she was delivered in a sack. So, does that look visually appealing, like a woman popping out of a potato sack or, rolling out of this luxurious rug posed in a seductive pose and, winking at Caesar? So, those are just the type of things that happen. But I love that you're seeing more and more produced and funded projects for and by women that are honoring our voices and saying, women age, women grieve, women experience this multitude of emotions and experiences, and we want to honor that and not just show love stories.
Someday.
What?
Someday. I said
Someday.
someday.
It's,
Someday.
I mean,
We'll
we're
get there.
making we're making
Progress.
progress. Yeah. So that was the intent of the podcast. And then for me, it was also kind of reclaiming my voice. So I grew up in a very strict household, with some emotionally immature parents who wanted me to talk, look, act a certain way. I think a lot of millennials these days kind of relate to some of that demographic growing up. But here I'm not censored and I can be authentic. And that's been a little bit of a struggle for me, just learning how to be authentic. And you think like about and do and say and wear whatever I want and everything will feel easy. It's uncomfortable at first to speak your voice, your true voice that you really want to share. I don't know if you've found that in speaking to other people, it's kind of they go through this transformative process of reinventing themselves or finding that authenticity.
Yeah, it's been a little, because like I said, I'm a little out there. I freely admit it. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought when I finally put my office was a mess for quite a while because we were remodeling. So it's like the entire house made its way into my office at one point or another while we moved things around. So it was pretty cluttered. So when I finally reclaimed it, it's like, oh, my space is mine finally again. And I kind of did a little tour and I'm sitting there thinking, okay, people are going to look at the fact that I have like these skulls and these wands and these skeletons, and they're going to be like, and then right next to them though I have like Groot and and Star Wars, and they're gonna like, what kind of weirdo is she?
Well, I love it.
And
That
I'm like,
sounds
no, this is
beautiful.
my space. This is my space. And if you can't take me as I am, then feel free to scroll on by. Okay, this is who I am. I love
Yeah.
all those things. So yeah,
I
I get it. I used to. Right now, I blur out the background because we're doing another room in the house, and some things have migrated into the background again. So, but for the longest time, I just kept it blurred because it's like, man, people are going to see that. They're going to see that big skeleton dog sitting behind me and go, "What kind of creepy person are you?"
Yeah.
But like, nah, we'll just not do that. But it's okay. I am who
My
I am.
friends
I'm
and
blue.
family, um, they know that like Halloween for me is like a 3 month ordeal. It's not just the month of October. And it's really all kind of all year round, but
Yeah, it's my second favorite holiday. I do love Christmas, but Halloween's next in line. Man, I
yeah.
love Halloween. And just yeah, well, I mean, who doesn't love a good scare? Come on.
Yeah.
And the name of the business, I love that, the Witch's Kitchen. What I mean, how did that come? How did that come to life? The Witch's Kitchen. I don't know that I would have had. I don't know that I would have had the nerve to call my business the Witches anything, to be honest, because just for like you said,
The
people would be looking at
polarization
it
of
going,
it.
yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, really, I think that's just where, if you look at herbal remedies, apothecaries, I mean, back in the day, they used to call women witches, not necessarily because they considered themselves an actual witch, but just a lot of people that used herbs for medicinal purposes. That's what they were labeled. Um, and so I really wanted to work with kind of those herbal mediums, and I don't know, I was just inspired. And if you look at my logo on my packaging, it's purple tones and it has a little bubbling cauldron, but it just looks magical. There's nothing sinister about it. And I think overwhelmingly most of the people that I've reached out to have been very positive about it. And kind of like we're talking about with your personal identity, if I'm not the right fit for them, hey, I will be for somebody else. I'm actually teaching my first wreath making class at an art studio next week.
Oh, what fun.
And I have this opportunity to sell my product in a store. So I think it's been a positive response. And I have witch hats that I sell, and I often wear them around town. And some people love it, and some people might give me a little look and go, "What is that?" And I'm like, "It's a hat." you know, there's nothing about special about it. It's just a hat, and it brings me joy. So,
I might have a witch hat or two in my closet.
but yeah, no, I love it, and I see a lot of women these days. Cracks me up that are referring to themselves as witches and or just feral women, which is really just a way of them saying they're tired of filtering themselves and their emotions. And I say my spirit animal sometimes is a feral rabid raccoon. You're tired, you're grumpy, you want to eat everything in sight. So
Rabid, right, feral rabid raccoon. Okay, I'm trying to picture that.
yeah. but something else interesting about being an entrepreneur. I used to think I was just really exhausted from working, but I was exhausted for working towards things that didn't have purpose for me. Because I honestly probably work more now doing all these endeavors than I did when I was in corporate. But I'm tired, but it's in a different way. It's invigorating at the same time, which is really great.
Oh, I know. Yeah. I thought nothing. I used to be really upset if I couldn't be in bed by like 10 o'clock latest. I'd be grumpy and miserable. And then I remember the night I launched my podcast, it was 1:15 in the morning when I hit the publish button. And it was like, I'm not at all tired. I'm excited. I want to go celebrate now. Get up, husband. Okay. Get up. I just launched.
Yeah.
I don't care if you have to work tomorrow. Get up. He's not very understanding. It's like, we'll celebrate in the morning, go away.
I love that.
But yeah, it's a whole different thing. If I'm in the middle of a project, if I'm creating something like, well, just this week I was creating some t-shirts for my confidence archetype that I have, and I was up to like, again, 1 or 2 in the morning, and it was like, oh my goodness, it's 2 o'clock in the morning. Where did the time go? Because I was engrossed in what I was doing. It didn't bother me at all. So I kind of get, yeah, it's a whole different feeling when you're doing something that you love as opposed to doing something that you absolutely find soul sucking is the word I've always used when somebody asks me, like, why don't you do that anymore? Because it was sucking the soul right out of me. I couldn't do it anymore. I was like, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
Oh, how do we get more women to make that choice? Stop doing the soul sucking
Supporting
crap.
artists, supporting small endeavors, like my son for Easter, I have a 6-year-old, and instead of going and buying mass produced things to put in his little Easter basket, I found she works with like cloth and textiles and creates things, but he's really into Odysseus right now. So she's hand making him a cyclops.
Oh, cool.
I asked a stained glass artist to do a small piece that I could put in his window that again would be a cyclops. But I mean, that if you go and you look at Etsy or even Threads, which that's a whole nother discussion, is how tiring it can be trying to keep up with all the different social forms of communication. But there are so many women on there that are trying to do just this. They want to find things that bring meaning or passion, and they're really trying to make a go at it. And I love that. But, that's where everybody's got to support so that people can do those things.
I do try. I try not to support the corporate soul suckers.
But community is another thing. So I used to think I was really introverted, and I mean, I am to a degree, but when you're, again, when you're speaking to people about things you like, you're not masking. Like you're able to be yourself, so it's not draining in the same way. And I thought that I would be, I don't know, shy or embarrassed to like go around and put myself out there. Um, but I've found some really great avenues of just, hey, I'm doing this thing. Like, I mean, that's how we met. I'm doing this thing. Doesn't, and I recently got accepted to a grant program through our local library, which I would have never found out about except for I started a community maker group for people to get together once a month to try and help each other grow and share feedback and resources. And I found out about that and I applied. And so, yeah, now I'm learning things on how to make my business more successful and get
Yeah, I
community
saw it.
support,
I
which is
saw
awesome.
that. I saw when you posted that. How exciting. So, I mean, what's it all about? What's the grant for?
So it's through, so the Walton Foundation funds it, and then it also has some partnerships with like U of A. So like I get to do on one with somebody from the law school to ask business related questions. You have experts that are going to teach you everything from logo design to product development to um, packaging, lighting, social, like basically everything you would need to be a small business entrepreneur
How cool
today.
is that? And the Waltons are doing that, the Walton Foundation.
They're funding it through the Fayetteville Library, yes. And they do it
Oh, cool.
every year, but I don't think a lot of people know about it because I asked, I said, well, are you at max head count? Do you have to turn people away? And they're like, some years yes, some years no. So but because again, I'm always trying to think about other things I can do. I'd love to be able to take the skills I learn and help people um, when they're ready to make transitions.
Well, I have to admit, as much as people love to hate on Walmart, and I've been known to be snippy about them sometimes as well, I gotta admit the Walton Foundation does do some good stuff. They really do. And Alice Walton in particular with that whole holistic health center that she's built is I'm excited about that because that's right into what you believe in, what I believe in. Holistic
Yep.
health is the way to go. So I was pretty excited about that. So when I try to stay away from the corporate soul suckers, I do go to Walmart. I do go to Walmart from time to time because because they do good stuff. As much as we sometimes hate to admit it. And they have that lovely museum. Do you hike out there? I love to hike out there because it's so, I don't know, it's just so nice. The art trail. Have you been on the art trail out there?
I have been there. I mean, I used to live up that way when I worked for that headquarters. But now, honestly, just I try to avoid it. Just the traffic, unless there's something big going on. Um, I was really into running, so like the Bentonville Half, I would go do that, which is out on the Compton Garden Trail. But no, it is really beautiful out there. But I'm pretty partial to Fayetteville, so
I just laugh because I remember when I worked for the some nonprofits and we had our office in Fayetteville and a lot of the volunteers lived up here. And oh my
uh-huh.
gosh, they used to complain so much about having to drive down to Fayetteville for meetings or trainings or anything. And I'm like, come on, it's not that far. It's like, and this was before the bypass even really. So it's like, it's not that far. You're not going to die. It's
Right.
okay. And now that I live up here, I can't remember the last time I've been to Fayetteville. It's like, oh man, do I have to drive all the way to Fayetteville? Really? I don't want to.
Yeah.
That's just so yeah. It's just the opposite for me. I live up here now. It's like this. If it's not within the immediate downtown Rogers, maybe a little bit up into Bentonville. Yeah, I'm not going.
Understand. Understand.
Oh dear. It's just I don't know. It's it's funny how your life changes when you start just I don't know, it's just funny how life changes as you grow. The things around you change. I mean, every little part of your life changes. Something as simple as, Yeah, I haven't been to Fayetteville and I used to go down there all the time. I love the Walton Arts Center. Now it's like, yeah, I don't go. Sorry. I don't go ever. It's just weird how the day-to-day routine changes. Sometimes good, and sometimes it's like, I kind of miss it sometimes going down there to a play or something. Not enough to actually go, but still.
Just to talk about it for a few minutes. Yeah.
So what kind of products are you selling in your witch's kitchen thing? Because I'm I love herbal
Yeah.
stuff. I have my own herb garden that I plant every year. So
So right now I have 5 cent and or kind of like magical medicinal blends, if you will. I just made one that I'm really excited about. So I turned 44 March 20th, and like a lot of women, I'm on that crazy hormone roller coaster. Um, yeah, again, we could do a whole episode probably on that. But one of the things I wanted to do was create something grounded in ritual on honoring that, my kind of slogan is, we call it menopause, but where's the pause? Like women have to keep, shouldering and carrying so much in life and their families, and you're dealing with all that. So something kind of to ground you in some self care. So I made a blend called Goddess Recharge, and it has some really great things in it, like valerian root, which is a very like calming and soothing. It has chamomile, some lavender, but rose, but just really things that are meant to kind of calm and ground you. And so I have that in a simmer pot and a bath soak, and again, scrubs and all the different things. But when you smell it, it's not like a bright, really strong fragrance, but it just gives you that feeling of, I don't know, being held almost. Because it's very calming. So I'm very excited about it.
do you, excuse me, do you have like a website or something so we can order this? Because
I
I'm not
do.
driving to Fayetteville. Okay.
Under, understand. So I am on Etsy, but that's one of the things I'm doing with the
Okay.
grant is I'm building my own website as well.
Oh, how cool.
So yeah, so I hope to get that up and running in the next couple months.
Okay, but in the meantime, you are on Etsy?
I am on Etsy, and I could also, people if they want to message me, I have Venmo and all the other forms and Square. I could always send you an invoice, and I can mail it to you as well if people don't, for
Cool.
whatever reason, don't like to use Etsy.
Yeah, I'd love to. You said you had oils. I love oils. So
Yeah, so I have a 10 milliliter essential oil roller, which actually has botanicals infused in it, so you can see like the flowers and
ooh,
things in there. So, yep.
how cool is
And they're
that?
also going to be in, so there's a new store opening in Springdale this weekend. It's called the Golden Disco, but there's a lot of maker mediums that are going into there versus traditional kind of resale or thrifting. But there's some really great entrepreneurs in the local community that are putting stuff in. But I will have a rack there
Well,
that
how
will have
cool.
all my products. So
The Golden Disco.
yeah,
There's a name.
it's catchy. Yeah, kind of akin to Brick City, but a little less resale and more uh, made. And there's some other cool markets opening too. There's one called Made Market in Rogers that's opening, which has a lot of handmade products. But there's a big kind of community boom for that kind of thing. Ozark Natural Foods, which it's in Fayetteville, but they do a mini market out on their patio on most weekends now. But if you'll follow me on social, I share a lot of the things happening in the community. But there's some really cool things happening to support small entrepreneurs around the
I think people are getting tired of the mass-produced crap. I know I am. I
Yeah. If you think about it, it might cost a little bit more. My friend and I were talking about quality things, and her daughter wants one of these quilted coats. I don't know if you've seen them where they take like patchwork and they turn them into coats, either trenches or short coats. But I mean, they're probably 75 to $100, but you know, it takes a lot of time to do quilted work. But I mean, think about that. That coat, if you take care of it, it's probably going to last 20, 30, 40 years. And, you know, a polyester puffer coat from Target, if you're lucky, lasts a couple seasons. So, you know, I think it's all in your perspective. So,
Yeah, I prefer unique things anyway, so it's easier to find those outside the mainstream
yep,
mass-produced junk stores. If you can find them, they are really crap. So,
yep.
uh, yeah, it's just easier to, and I like the fact that, good grief, the weather is killing me. Between the rain and the pollen, and it's like, uh,
You know,
I
I used to have terrible allergies, and they've actually gotten better. I don't know if it's because I'm around herbs, so like my inflammatory response to pollen and stuff has gotten reduced, but thankfully, knock on wood, they haven't been as bad as usual. So, which is surprising because I also have three dogs who love to traipse through everything in the yard and then bring it back into the house.
don't I know about that? Tell me about the dogs. I forgot about the dogs. Tell me about the dogs. What kind of dogs do you have?
So I have a passion for corgis and corgi mixes. So I have a 9-year-old rescue named Bowie who came from a breeder. Have a Heart is a great rescue if anybody's looking for dogs. They're out of Missouri, but they also have some local chapter people in Northwest Arkansas that help support. But we've had him for 2 years, and then I have. So we just bought I think it's Ember Doggy DNA because I have another dog, Pumpkin. I've had her since she was 10 weeks old, and they said her mom was a corgi. I don't know about that. We'll see what her results show. I think she's a Basenji. She's very much a hunter. She's so funny. She'll stand in my flower bed and hide behind a tree for 30 minutes and just like watch intently. Like she's waiting for a bird or something to cross so she can sneak up on them. But she thinks she's being very coy, you know, standing and waiting to catch things. So if there's a critter, she'll catch it. And then we have another dog we rescued from a rescue in Oklahoma City that closed, but he's half corgi, half border collie. So, but yeah, if somebody wants to invest in a winery dog rescue, come see me. I've got ideas. But yeah, so that's my other long term dream. I would call it Short Legs Wine, and it would be a winery slash dog rescue.
Okay, I
Maybe
wanted to make sure I heard
apothecary.
that right. I did want to make sure I heard that right when you said winery dog rescue. I was like, did she just say winery and dog rescue?
Yeah, because I mean, people can come. I mean, think of sassafras, but just cute dogs everywhere, and people can come out and adopt, and it's a good way to get the dogs seen in front of people and socialized and ready for
Yeah.
rehoming. So,
And if you have enough wine, it's easier to get the dogs. You know you want him. Come on, look at those eyes. You know you want him.
right, just write us a check for
Yeah.
the cost, and here's
Yeah.
the waiver. Yeah.
Here, have another glass of wine while you think it over.
Yeah.
I
So
love
I
that.
actually did look into because you know some states have mobile bars.
Uh-huh.
Because that was an idea I had to. I need to slow down on ideas though. But would be mobile bartending, and I would take my dogs with me because I love wine too. And so I was like, I could be a sommelier and do events and bring my dogs in their little tuxedos. But yeah, we don't do mobile bartending. I actually talked to somebody from ABC. You can't do it in the state of Arkansas, and they're probably not going to change that anytime soon. Maybe I could go meet
Oh,
Helen, and maybe she would help lobby for that.
oh, why not? That's cool. I love it. I'm picturing the dogs. I have chihuahuas and I'm picturing the chihuahuas in little tuxedos. Like how cool would that be? Oh man, why can't we do that? I love that idea.
There are some really cool dog rescues in Northwest Arkansas that do things like puppy grams for Valentine's,
Uh-huh.
where you can pay to send a puppy to somebody's work or their house, and they'll bring them. And then, of course, the proceeds go to support the organization. But there's some cool things
Look, honey, I sent you another dog for Valentine's Day.
like that too. I know. I have to just turn my phone off because now it knows I want dogs. And so I get served all the corgis that need homes, even if they're not even remotely close. It could be like Kansas, and somehow the algorithm is like, look, here's this dog. It looks real sad. And
Oh,
I just have to put it down because I'm like, our house just does not have the room for another one right now.
I know that's how I got the puppy I mentioned to you this morning when I was telling you I was running a little behind. It's like there's a rescue locally that had, and she posted, "We think he's blind." It's like, oh,
Aw.
I have a blind dog. And I've had a blind dog in the past. I'm familiar with blind dogs. I know how to work with blind dogs. I'll take him. So now we have him
Aw.
only to discover that he's not blind. It was just an eye infection, which cleared up.
Oh,
So he's
okay.
not only not blind, but he's an Aussie. So he's like really high energy. And the poor chihuahuas are like, what is this thing you have brought into our house, mom? So it's been a little bit of an adjustment, but yeah, yeah, I
Now,
know I have to
how old?
say he's he was 8 weeks when I got him, so he's probably 12 weeks now. I've only had him a couple of weeks, about 4 weeks.
Oh,
So yeah. So yeah, I know all about the puppy ads. And I hate it when you're watching, on TV when they're for just a few pennies a day. You can rescue all these dogs. It's like,
I
don't do
know.
that.
I know.
Especially when I'm mad at mine and I'm looking at mine going, okay. And then these commercials come on. It's like, oh yeah, okay, that's why you're here. I had to be reminded. Thank you. Oh, I love it. That's what I love. That is what I love about doing what I do because I meet, people like you. Like we're both into the herbal stuff. We're both into the natural stuff. We both love the dogs. You meet people. I mean, I would have sworn that I was pretty unique in the world, that there weren't a whole lot of people like me that wouldn't look at my I have two Chihuahua skeletons that I actually named after my dogs, and a lot of people look at me going, "That's kind of creepy and morbid," and I'm like, "No, it's funny." Okay, they're cute. It's funny, but
Yeah.
I never realized how many people there are out there, how many women that think a lot like I do, and this podcast has enabled me to reach them. Like you. Are you finding that with yours, or is it kind of opening some doors to?
It is, and it's interesting in the social media time because it's easy to get caught up on followers and numbers. But a friend and I were talking, even if you only get 10 likes on something, 10 likes is huge. Imagine 10 women coming up to you in life and saying, I love your podcast, or I love you did this, or your hair, or anything. Like, that would make us feel so great, right? Um, so yeah,
Yeah,
I do
I
find
mean,
it has opened up doors, and that's how I wound up with the spinoff, just because I was talking about the base podcast, and I would have women message me and say, "Hey, I want to talk. I have this idea or this story. I'd love to talk to you about it." And I was like, "Well, I'm not really doing an interview format, but maybe I should consider it because women have things they want to share." So
I love it. I'm glad you did do the spinoff because yeah, there's the more we give women a chance to get their voices out there, and I think that's kind of what we are. We're the vehicle for so many women to get heard that wouldn't otherwise because they think they don't know how, or they they're not sure what they want to say, and all of a sudden they've got someone sitting next to them asking them questions and guiding them to tell their story. And I think it's an amazing experience for me. I'm sure it is for you, but it opens so many doors for them because they're suddenly able to share their story and they're not sitting back going, well, I can't do this. There's maybe sitting there going, well, that wasn't so hard. I could do that again. And
Yeah.
especially if it's
Well, and even if you're, yeah, I was just going to say, even if you're not ready to share your story yet, sometimes just listening to somebody else can help because you think like, oh, I'm not the only person that's went through that or had that feeling. Um, so it's feeling seen in a different way.
well, I'm really glad you decided to do the interviews because we have a different we come at it from a different angle. So I'm sure you'll have guests that I would never have discovered that I can't wait to listen to. And I know that I have a lot of women that aren't familiar with you yet that are now going to be. So I'm just glad you decided to do that. I've listened to the female gaze. I missed the Cleopatra episode, but I listened to your first one. I'll have to go back and listen to Cleopatra. But I'm glad you decided to do the interviews too, because I think there's more, we need more women like us to do these podcasts that aren't so, well, I want to talk about business or I want to, no, we need the ones that are just willing to talk about whatever the heck you want to talk about. Okay. I mean, that's the whole purpose of this one. I could have put you on the other one, the main interview one, but that is a lot of business and how to's and all that stuff. And you didn't fit there. I like to do this one more because it's like, what do you want to talk about? Let's just talk about whatever you want to talk about. And I love it. And I'm glad that you're doing the same kind of thing with your first one. And now, your interviews still, it's pretty cool. I like it. I like the idea. Let us know when you post the first one and we'll definitely, well, I'm going to put all the links to your stuff in the show notes anyway, because
Okay.
people need to be able to find it. Because
Thank you.
it's a cool show. It is a very awesome show. You need to listen to it. So I thank you for coming on and sharing your story. I do. I love the conversations like this. The reinvention isn't always neat and tidy. Okay. Sometimes there's a whole bunch of things that make us go, wait a minute, this isn't working for me anymore. So for everyone listening, I will include the links in the show notes so you can learn more about the Witch's Kitchen and the podcast for the female gaze. And what's the other one called?
Uh, the other spin-off podcast is called Through Her Lens, and then I also, shameless plug, I have a dog walking and pet sitting business called Wags Walks and Pup Cups.
You do dog sitting? Tell me about
Yes.
dog sitting. Tell me about dog sitting. This is a personal thing. Tell me about the dog sitting. It's kind of hard to
um,
travel when you have four.
Yeah, so I can do house sitting. I mean, I'm not a kennel, but we can do what I call family style boarding, where if you're gone for a few days and you have a senior or special needs dog, and you need to trust that they're going to be with someone and treated like family, we can do that. I also do dog walking, but I love all animals. So if you're worried about your reptile or fish while you're gone, and you need someone to come in and care for them, we can do that as well. So, and every
Ah,
dog gets a free pup cup or treat.
oh, how cute is that? No, I'm serious because yeah, it's when you have four dogs, we can generally get by taking three of them, but adding that fourth little puppy made it a little difficult to travel. And so I've been trying to convince my husband that the world will not end if we send Goblin to a pet sitter while we're gone. He's a little young to take on the road with us yet. He's not really that well leash trained, and he's a herder, so he wants to herd things. I mean, it's a
Play,
little
yeah.
yeah, so he's still in his puppy stage, and it's a little difficult sometimes to take him with us. So that's good to know. Okay. You may get a call from me this summer going, can you watch my dog?
I'm
he
sure we
he will
can do
try to
that.
herd all of yours because that's what he is. He's a herd dog, so he will try to herd yours. But He's a good dog. He's as cute as can be. Well, thank you for spending your time here with me on the Rebel Tribe After Hours. This has been fun. I'm gonna go check out your Etsy, and I'm interested in some of the stuff you have. I'm a big herbal. I believe in herbal stuff, the oils especially. So I'm really interested in the oil, and I'm a little bit past the menopause years, but still, it sounds that also sounds like it might be useful, even though I'm already past all that. So I'll be checking all that out. So if you, yes, I will put all the links to all of that stuff in the show notes. And remember, the best conversations usually happen after hours. So check us out. Thanks so much, Tiffany.
Thank you. Take care, everyone.